For 50 years, Raju did not know what it meant to take a single step without metal teeth sinking into his flesh. We often talk about freedom as an abstract concept, but for this 5-ton prisoner, freedom wasn't a dream. It didn't even exist in his vocabulary. He was a machine made of bone and sorrow, forced to beg for half a century. But the reason Raju's story didn't just break the internet, but actually change the way biologists look at the animal mind, isn't because of the cruelty he endured. It's because of what happened at the exact moment the chains finally snapped. In the middle of a midnight rescue, surrounded by a violent mob and flashing lights, Raju did something so rare, so profoundly human, that it defied every law of nature we understood. Raju's story began in tragedy, a script written by the illegal wildlife trade. As a calf, he was poached from the wild, torn away from his mother in a process so brutal it's designed to break an elephant's spirit from infancy. In the world of illegal poaching, this is known as phagen, or the crush. It's a psychological conditioning process where a young elephant is kept in a small cage, starved and beaten until its will is completely extinguished. Scientists have noted that elephants, much like humans, can suffer from a form of complex PTSD. Their hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and emotion, is remarkably similar to ours. To his owners, Raju wasn't a sentient being with a 50-year memory. He was a depreciating asset. He was sold and resold up to 27 times. By the time he reached 2014, his equipment was a set of spiked shackles. These aren't ordinary chains. The spikes point inward. If the elephant walks too fast, they bite. If he resists, they tear. Over decades, Raju's skin grew around the iron. He was living in a permanent state of sepsis, surviving by eating plastic wrappers and paper thrown by tourists. He was a ghost in broad daylight. While Raju was starving on the streets, a team from Wildlife SOS was engaging in a high-stakes legal chess match. Led by Kartik Satyanarayan, the team spent months documenting Raju's abuse. You might wonder, if they saw him suffering, why didn't they just take him? Because in the eyes of the law at that time, Raju was property. If the rescuers moved 1 hour before the court order was signed, the owner could legally hide him in the vast rural landscapes of India. A hidden elephant is a lost elephant. They had one shot. On the 4th of July 2014, as the warrant was finally signed, the team moved under the cover of darkness. But they weren't walking into a quiet rescue. They were walking into an ambush. The owner had been tipped off. As the rescue convoy turned the final corner, their headlights hit a wall of 50 men armed with stones and clubs. The atmosphere was electric, with violence. "Drive the truck sideways," Kartik ordered. They used the transport vehicles as a steel barricade, sealing the entrance and trapping themselves inside the courtyard with a furious mob outside and an even more dangerous situation inside. Inside the gates, the owner played his final, most desperate call. He didn't just want to keep Raju. He wanted to use him as a weapon. He began shouting killer commands, specific trigger words Raju had been conditioned to obey for decades. Raju began to charge, 5 tons of muscle and bone versus a handful of veterinarians. The police raised their rifles. It was a second away from becoming a bloodbath. When an elephant is in a state of must or extreme fear, their testosterone levels can skyrocket to 60 times the normal level. In this state, they are biologically incapable of logic. But Dr. Yadaraj, the lead vet, did something that looked like suicide. He stepped out of the shadows and walked directly toward the thrashing giant. He didn't carry a bullhook. He carried a handful of fruit and spoke in a low, steady hum. "I'm not him," he whispered. "Look at me. I'm not him." In that moment, the crush was reversed. Raju stopped. He lowered his trunk. He sensed, through the pheromones and the tone of voice, that the cycle of 50 years had just been broken. The owner's weapon had refused to fire. As the police dragged the owner away, the team knelt in the mud to begin the grueling task of removing the chains. The iron was rusted into the wounds. Then it happened, the moment that left the world speechless. As the team worked, they looked up at Raju's face. Glistening in the beam of their flashlights were tracks of moisture. Raju was weeping. For years, skeptics argued that animal tears are merely a physiological response to dust or infection. But ethologists, scientists who study animal behavior, point to the lacrimal system in elephants. While they lack the specific tear ducts humans have for drainage, they are one of the few species known to produce emotional tears during moments of intense grief, or in incredibly rare cases, relief. The rescuers didn't see a biological reflex. They saw a 50-year-old soul, realizing for the first time that the pain was over. When the final link snapped, Raju didn't run. He stood still, lifted his foot, and touched the place where the metal used to be. He was checking to see if the nightmare was real. Freedom, however, is a terrifying thing to someone who has only known a cage. When it came time to load Raju onto the truck to take him to the sanctuary, he froze. The metal ramp looked like another trap. Force was off the table. A panicked elephant on a ramp is a death sentence. It took a female rescuer, sitting in the straw of the truck, calling to him like a friend, to convince him to take that final step into his new life. Even at the sanctuary, the invisible chains remained. For the first few weeks, the team noticed something heartbreaking. Even though Raju was in a soft, sandy enclosure, he refused to lie down. He slept, leaning against a wall, standing up. Why? Because for 50 years, his chains were so short that if he tried to lie down, the spikes would pierce his neck or legs. He had forgotten that sleep could be safe. It took weeks of silence for his nervous system to downregulate. One night, at 3 a.m., the CCTV cameras caught a miracle. Raju's knees buckled. He tested the sand, and then, with a deep groan, he let his weight go. He slept for hours, the first deep sleep of his adult life. Today, Raju lives with the Lackey Ladies, a herd of rescued females who taught him how to be an elephant again. Raju's story matters because it challenges the property mindset that has dominated our history. When the owner tried to sue to get him back, claiming Raju was no different than a tractor, the judge made a landmark ruling. He looked at the lack of paperwork and the evidence of the tears and declared, without a certificate, this is not ownership, it is poaching. Raju's tears weren't just a viral moment. They were a bridge between species. They reminded us that the capacity to suffer and the capacity to feel relief is not a uniquely human trait. We can't give Raju back his 50 years, but we can ensure that he is the last one to spend a lifetime in the dark. Raju is no longer a machine. He is a resident of the forest, a member of a herd. And for the first time in half a century, he is simply Raju.